Hello there! In the last week we've had a lot of news drop about the new Star Wars video game coming out in October called Star Wars Squadrons. And in this video I want to break down my hopes about the game in terms of its story, its gameplay, and its customization. So first of all, what is Star Wars Squadrons? Well, if you've not seen the trailers, I will have them linked in the description, but basically it's a starfighter combat game. You play as the Empire or the New Republic. There's multiplayer game modes and a story game mode, which is single player. There appears to be some character customization. There appears to be some starfighter customization. And let's get into my hopes for the game itself. My first hope and my biggest hope is that the game really rewards players who take the time to learn how to become a good pilot. In Battlefront 2 there was a game mode called Starfighter Assault, and it wasn't particularly popular. The game was similar in concept to Star Wars Squadrons. You were in a starfighter and it was a big battle in space. The problem for me was that you often would just fly on the slowest speed setting and just shoot people and not really concentrate on flying. The flying was almost annoying because you didn't really want to move at all. You just wanted to stay still and shoot at targets, which is really what you do in a ground-based shooter. So what I want to see is a game which rewards people who take the time to learn how to fly their starfighter well, and not just rewarding people for being able to shoot other people, because that's really what I want from a ground-based combat game, not a starfighter combat game. There's two main ways that I really hope this is achieved. The first of which is I really hope there aren't any preset maneuvers. What do I mean by this? Well, I don't want to be able to click a button and do a loop-the-loop. I don't want to be able to click a button and do a barrel roll. Instead, I want to have enough control over my starfighter that I can do that manually by just WASD on a keyboard, or on a controller by pushing the joysticks in the right way. It allows me to do a barrel roll. This would really give the player enough control to master some quite difficult maneuvers. For example, in the trailer, one of the TIE fighter pilots stalls their TIE fighter so it stops dead. They turn around 180 degrees and shoot the oncoming X-Wing which is following them. I want to be able to do that, but I want to have to put in work to be able to achieve such a maneuver. I don't want to just be able to click a button and it's done for me. The other way that I hope the game pushes you to become a good pilot is by the map design. In Battlefront 2, the maps were quite simple. They would have a planet or a dockyard or whatever off in the distance which you couldn't get to. There might be a capital ship floating around which you could crash into if you weren't careful. In this game, however, I want to see debris fields and asteroid fields. I want things that I can fly into and maneuver around to lose pursuers and to use as a strategic advantage if I'm a good enough pilot. But there are also obstacles if I'm not careful. I want to be able to interact with the map in such a way that it can be used as an advantage or a disadvantage depending on how good I am at piloting. This would mean you could feel like you were Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon, even though the Millennium Falcon isn't a playable ship. But when he enters the asteroid field and has to avoid all the asteroids, that sort of thing would be really exciting to players, and it would really push you to become a good pilot, instead of just sitting out in the open and really just shooting anyone that you see, which is what it felt like in Starfighter Assault in Battlefront 2. EA has shown us 6 maps which are coming to the game at launch. They are Yavin Prime, Esseles, the Nadiri Dockyards, Sisubo, Gallatin and the Zavian Abyss. They all seem to have the thing that I really want in these maps, which is asteroid fields, debris fields, things that I can fly around to use as cover. The dockyards, I really hope I can fly in between all the arms that are making the new ships and use them to maneuver around. It would just be really exciting to feel like the map isn't just a place where the battle is set, but it is instead part of the battle itself. Pushing that concept even further, it would be really exciting if you could interact with aspects of the map even more. So, for example, if I shoot an asteroid, maybe it explodes. If I shoot one of the arms at the Nadiri dockyard, it's temporarily disabled and changes its position. It would mean that you could almost use these things as an advantage. It would mean that there could be really, really high levels of planning when you go into these games in the multiplayer modes, which I will get onto very shortly. The last thing I want to briefly talk about in regards to the actual flying experience in the game is I hope the different starfighters feel drastically different to fly. If I'm in one of the heavier bombers, I want to feel slower, but I want to feel more like a tank. I want to feel like my role is severely different to if I'm in a fast interceptor, because they should have a different job. When you watch Star Wars, the Y-Wings aren't doing all sorts of incredible maneuvers, but the interceptors are. That's what I want to feel like I'm able to do. If I'm in a Y-Wing, I don't want to feel like I'm just as maneuverable as if I was in an interceptor, because that's not really the point. Now on to the two multiplayer game modes, Dogfight and Fleet Battles. Dogfight is described as a 5v5 game mode, and it sounds like it's going to be like Team Deathmatch. I hope there's no AI in this game mode, and here's why. I don't want the AI to be able to influence the outcome of a dogfight. I think this should be the small game mode that you go into with a couple of friends, or 4 other friends I suppose, because it's 5 versus 5. You go in and you see if you're better than the other team. There should be no influence from AI. It should just be the best team wins. Next, on to Fleet Battles. The objective of Fleet Battles is to destroy 3 large enemy ships, 2 flagships and 1 capital ship, and they have to try and destroy your 2 capital ships and your flagship. It's a staged game mode, so the first stage takes place as a dogfight, and then whoever wins the dogfight is able to attack the opponent's 2 capital ships and flagship. On the EA website, it says that Fleet Battles is a conflict between 2 squadrons of 5, which is the same size teams as in Dogfight, but a fleet battle sounds like it should be a really large-scale conflict, where a dogfight is just a skirmish. Therefore, I would imagine that Fleet Battles will utilise AI to make the battle bigger, basically. Now, EA has said in their trailers that this game mode is supposed to be very tactical. You're supposed to be able to choose different squadron compositions. You're supposed to choose different loadouts for your individual starfighters, which I will talk about a little bit later. But I don't want the AI to utilise completely different tactics to me and my 4 friends when we play it. I want to feel like a unified fleet following the same set of plans, rather than 5 of us trying to follow some plans and the AI just doing what they want, really. Now, there are a couple ways I could see EA getting around this. One of them is basically allowing the players to control the AI through commands, whether at the start of the game you tell the AI what playstyle you're going to be playing with, or whether the squadron leader has some control over the AI. That's if a squadron leader even exists. But basically, I really don't want the AI to just do random things. I want them to feel like an extension of the fleet, rather than just random other starfighters, which are supposedly friendly but don't really seem to be helping in what you're trying to do. Now on to customization. It doesn't sound like this game will have any microtransactions, which is excellent. EA have finally learnt from Battlefront and Battlefront 2 that people just don't want to spend extra money on a game that they've already bought. What else in customization? I want to feel like I need to pick a different loadout in each match that I go into. If I go into one match and I decide I want to play a Y-Wing, but the team is playing a very measured approach to trying to get victory, I'll use one loadout, but then maybe if we're going for a more aggressive approach, I'll use a completely different loadout. I don't want to unlock every single item in the game and just stick with the 3 favourites. I want to have to use flexible tactics in every single game, maybe even changing my loadout within matches, not just at the start. In terms of cosmetics, it would be really fun if you could make squadron emblems that you and your friends can utilise on your fighters. So it gives you a sense of camaraderie. It gives you a sense that your squadron is unique compared to every single other player in the game. And it would almost mean that you could form groups of people who all fight in a specific squadron, even if there's, say, 15 of you that fly with the same emblem and you can only have 5 on a team at a time. It would still make you feel like one larger team and just 5 of you flying at one time. And finally, onto the story aspect of the game. The story, it's a Star Wars story. Of course I'm going to love it. I quite like the Battlefront 2 story. I love the Fallen Order story. I don't think that they can go that far wrong with the story from what we've seen in the trailers. It just looks like you can play as both the Empire and the New Republic, which is exciting. But on that theme, I don't want to, when I play as an Imperial, feel like I don't like the character I'm playing as. I want to be able to relate to both pilots that I play as, whether I'm an Imperial at that point or a New Republic. And when I change to the other side, I want to feel some remorse when I go and fight against the people that I was just allies with. I want there to be some form of relatability with every single pilot that I have to play as during the whole story mode. And therefore, if one of them is killed during the story, I feel some sadness for their loss, not just feeling, oh, well, they were an Empire pilot, I don't really care about them. Yes, I had to play them in parts of the story, but I don't really care. And that's basically it. They are my hopes for Star Wars Squadrons. Remember to comment down below any of your hopes for Star Wars Squadrons, anything you disagree with that I've said, anything you agree with that I've said, or tell me anything that you want to tell me within reason down below in the comments. Remember to like the video, it's completely free, but you've already done that, I know you have, thank you for liking the video. Remember to subscribe to the channel, it is also completely free, but you've probably already done that, but if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. You can watch all the other videos I've made if you want to, if you want something else to do, if you're bored, watch all the other videos, give them a like as well, and thanks for watching, bye!